I spent the last couple days tooling around in this brand new Toyota Tacoma TRD Sport. And don't let that sport model fool you. A truck like this can take you out in the backcountry and still have some awesome adventures within reason. Now, I know a lot of my off-road vehicles have lockers and sway bar disconnects, but you can come out here in a four-wheel drive vehicle like this and have an awesome time because enthusiasts and racers have been doing it for decades, including Ivan Ironman Stewart, who is a motorsport off-road racing legend. He's won over 84 races, 10 drivers championships. He's won the Baja 500 17 times and countless other famous races. And well, this truck has his namesake, and there are some really nice upgrades we're going to talk about along the way in reviewing this truck. Now, this truck has a lot of things that I really like about it, but I've got a few criticisms. So we're going to take a detailed look at it, and then we're going to take it out on the trail. Now, this TRD Sport is a four-wheel drive model. You can get them in two-wheel drive. And this is the double cab with the 5-foot bed, making it 213 inches long, 77.9 inches wide, and it has a wheelbase of 131.9 inches. Now, I think Toyota did a great job with the styling of this new generation Tacoma's front end. It just looks so much more aggressive. I like the LED headlights with the little Tacoma on the side. The grille just looks tough. The only thing I wish they would have done is maybe blacked out the Toyota logo here, because all the other logos and badges on this truck are blacked out, and that would have just been nice to have. You've got your radar sensor here for your driver controls, which this one has some upgrades. You've got parking sensors and LEDs. And looking behind here, a lot of folks are probably going to want to modify this and put an aftermarket bumper on here, maybe even a winch. You're going to have to relocate all that stuff if you decide to do that. Now, down below, there is a tow hook, so if we need to recover, we can do that. On the side here, right in the fenders, there's actually a functional air vent. These aren't functional, but overall, I like the styling of the hood. You can see our camera is down there as well. Now the hood, I like the look of the hood. Even though it has a non-functional hood scoop, I still like the aggressiveness of it. Now, one thing that I read about before getting my hands on this truck was that people were noticing that the hood kind of flutters a little bit. And I can validate that it does. On the freeway at speed, that hood flutters a little bit, and even hitting some bumps out here on the trail, it does that as well. That's a little disappointing. I would like just a solid hood that doesn't move. All right, speaking of hood, let's pop this up and take a look underneath. Now, under the hood of this Tacoma, we have a 2.4 liter, 4-cylinder turbocharged engine that makes 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, which is down a little bit from what you would get if you got the TRD off-road model, and it's down a lot from the TRD Pro because the TRD Pro is a hybrid. This one is just your standard internal combustion with a little bit of a turbo kick. And I can tell you that out here on the trails and driving on the road, it's had plenty of power, and it's rated at 18 miles per gallon in the city and 23 miles per gallon on the highway. I've seen pretty good fuel mileage with this thing, but one thing to mention is a small little 4-cylinder engine like this today makes pretty good power, but also on the trail, it's not going to suck in as much fuel as a V6 or a V8. So you're actually going to get pretty respectable fuel economy, you know, in terms of overlanding and off-roading. Now, the engine is mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission, which is an upgrade. You can get this in a manual, and then there is an electronically controlled 2-speed transfer case, which has a 2.57 to 1 ratio. Now, this does not have any lockers. It doesn't have any multi-terrain select. There's no crawl control. It's pretty much just a basic four-wheel drive, but we'll get it out here on the trail a little bit later and see what it can do. All right, now let's talk about some of the off-road goodies on this truck. So this has some 285 70R 17 BFG all-terrain tires on here. These are a 33-inch tire. This truck would have originally come with like a 31.5, but because of some of the upgrades they've done, been able to put a bigger tire on here. And these are wrapped around some 17-inch black KMC wheels with a plus 20 millimeter offset. I think these look really good. And how we're able to run this large of a tire on this truck? Well, behind here, we've got the standard front independent suspension, and we've got a solid axle in the rear. But Camberg, in partnership with Ivan Ironman Stewart, has created a lift kit that's given us 2.5 inches of clearance, allowing us to run these 33-inch tires. So there's a full billet upper control arm up here, super beefy with some solid joints on there. And then there's the Dominator spacer that gives us that height, but still maintains the stock geometry with the stock ride. And I can tell you so far, it's been great on the road and on the trail. And in the rear, we've got the Camberg upper and lower trailing arms, which allow maximum articulation with these 33-inch tires. It's a great setup, and I've been really happy with the ride. Now, I would appreciate some, plastic inner fender liners, not these cardboard ones. Plus, there's no skid plates underneath the TRD Sport model, so that's something I think I would want to upgrade as well. There's one thing I want to mention over here on the side before we hop to the back. All right, there are no rock sliders on this truck, and that's something I would also add. But one thing I was just kind of looking at and I don't really care for is the paint job on this is really a nice clean paint job until you get to like right here. And then you just have this orange peel looking paint all the way down the side. Now, I don't know if there's some kind of undercoating under here that creates that orange peel look, but I don't know. It bothers me a little bit that you've got this nice clean paint job and then right here it just falls off and you get this orange peel right here. I think they could have done a better job with that. Now, in the back of the truck, let's just talk about the thing that's most exciting back here, and that is the MagnaFlow Overland exhaust. They've partnered again with Ivan Ironman Stewart to create the perfect exhaust. This has their no drone technology, so it's super quiet when you're cruising along on the road, but when you step on the gas, you get just a little more of an aggressive sound. Here, take a listen. I think that sounds so much better than stock, and I love that blacked out 4-inch tip. I think it just looks really good. They've done a great job. Now, I mentioned this has the 5-foot truck bed. We've got a 1,570 pound payload capacity. We can tow 6,400 pounds with this truck. It does have their advanced rail system in here, so we've got lots of tie downs in the back. It's the composite bed, and that's pretty much what Toyota does. Back here, you've got a plastic bumper, but all in all, I like the styling of the rear of the truck. The only thing that, I don't know, maybe this is something that would grow on me, but I'm not a huge fan of this. Anytime I want to open or close the truck bed, I've got to let the motor do it. I can't just manually open and close that. I mean, I'm sure that's convenient for some folks, and it's a nice little feature, but honestly, I think I'd just be happier just to I just want to open it. Yeah, so that's one thing I think I would, I don't know. I don't even know if I can option that. Or you don't want to close now? See? I don't know, guys. What do you think? What do you think about the truck bed? You okay with that? Maybe I just need to play with it a little bit more. All right, let me open this up. There's a few more things in here we should talk about. I'm sitting here playing with the tailgate. Okay, in here we have a 400-watt inverter, which is nice to have. Down here, there's a little bit of storage. And on this side, we've got a tiny little bit of storage, but there's also some 12-volt connectors in there, so you can power up some stuff. So if you're doing some overlanding or whatever, it's nice to have a little bit of power back here, or if you need to run some power tools, you can do that as well. 5-foot truck bed, I think, is perfect for off-roading. If you're doing a little bit of overlanding and you do some long-distance stuff, you may want to opt for the 6-foot bed. I don't know. That's my thoughts. All right, let's hop inside the truck. Now, many of you know I have a 2015 Tacoma that my son primarily uses for his off-road adventures, and I can say this new generation is leaps and bounds ahead of that older model. They've done a lot of great things in here. I have a few criticisms, but let's just start off by the coolest thing, and that's that Ivan Ironman Stewart signed the dash and sat behind the wheel of this truck. Kind of cool. What an icon that guy is. Okay, let's start with the steering wheel, which is a leather steering wheel, and it's got these kind of dimple grips on the side. I really appreciate that. It gives it some nice grip here. It's very comfortable. And one thing I noticed about the steering wheel controls is they're a little bit beveled on some of them. So when you're driving, it's kind of easy to find your placement with your fingers. You don't have to look down and see the buttons. You can kind of feel your way around. Really, it's really easy. I like that. And then let's just talk about the elephant in the room, and that's this upgraded 14.1 inch display with the JBL speakers. And you know, I'm going to date myself a little bit here, but the first TV I had in my bedroom when I was a kid was 13 inches. And now we have a 14.1 inch screen in a truck. How cool is that? This is a great screen. It's very responsive. It's got Apple CarPlay and all the things you need, but we still have all our functional HVAC controls down here. This one has upgraded heated seats and cooling seats. The knobs are easy to reach. I like the volume knob. That makes it easy to find. And I do like that all the buttons down here are kind of this textured metal, which I really appreciate. Now down below here, there's plenty of storage, but what I really appreciate is there's 2 spots for phones. So your driver can have a phone here, your passenger can have their phone there, and I've got wireless charging on this side, and then over here we've got a couple 12-volt connectors to keep things going. And there's a nice little pocket down here. Down here you've got your shifter, which is you know, it's nice. It's kind of bulky, which I guess you should have in a TRD truck. And then down here is where we shift into 4 high or 4 low. And it's a nice little knob, but got a lot of slop in it a little bit. I would like to see that be a little more solid. Down here, you've got your view mode for your 360-degree cameras. This has great cameras in it. And this has the tow haul mode with the brake controller down here, which is a nice feature if you're going to be towing with this. In front, we have the 12.3 gauge cluster. Lots of information that you can pull up there. Easy to read. One thing I notice is when I'm driving in the sun, there's no glare on there. It's really nice to see that all the time. Over here you've got all your standard buttons, but this truck has the auxiliary switches. So we've got places where we can wire up, you know, off-road lights or air compressors and have easy access to turn those on and off. You don't have to install some kind of other switch panel. It's got it built in, which is a really great feature. Up top, we do have a sunroof, which is also an upgrade. I like having a sunroof, but on a day like today, we need to keep that closed because it's pretty hot out there. One thing I'll mention is this console up here. For me, because I'm 6'2", I can't actually see under here. I kind of have to look underneath to see it because this, I don't know if you can tell, but it sits kind of low. I'm sure if I owned this truck, I would easily know what all those buttons were, but just kind of fumbling around a little bit, I kind of have to look underneath to access them. I mentioned that this has the JBL speaker system, which does give us this little Bluetooth speaker that pops out of the dash. That's kind of a nice little, you know, nice little feature. I'm not sure I would use that a whole lot, honestly, but I like that there are cup holders all around. There's plenty of storage. It's a comfortable seat. This is their Softech seats, and there's lots of bolstering and just a comfortable seat. Now, one thing to mention is legroom on this thing. I don't even have this seat all the way back. This has 41.8 inches of legroom, which is more than my Gladiator. It's more than my Land Cruiser. Lots of legroom. It's just a good, comfortable driving position in here. And I'll say one other thing is it's nice and quiet. Let's take a look in the rear. All right, moving on to the rear of the truck. We do have the same Softech seats back here, and this is a 60-40 split, so you can fold these down. But what I did notice is you've got to take the headrest off or move that seat really far forward. I have this in the exact position and where I was sitting, so we have to remove the headrest if we want that to come down to give us a little bit of a platform here if we wanted to store some stuff. But these do come up, and then there's a really great storage spot down here where you could put your recovery gear and your tools. The only thing is there's these little buckles here that you have to attach to keep this from falling. There's no like latch to keep that up. Now down here we do have a 400 watt inverter, and there's 2 USB-C chargers. There is no HVAC controls back here, so your rear passengers are just going to have to rely on that air up front. Now coming in the back, yeah, it's a little tight. I mean, you can see my knees are touching right here. I could move that seat just a little bit more forward. The seats are comfortable. I've got plenty of headroom being 6'2". I'm fine, but there's just not a lot of leg room in the back of this truck. Now we can move the seat forward a little bit, but one thing is my feet are just kind of crammed underneath the seat there, which is interesting. So I don't know that I would want to spend a whole lot of time back here, especially off-road. And speaking of which, what do you say we go take this thing out and put it through its paces? All right, we're not on a crazy extreme trail here, but there's a couple spots where we can have some fun. Specifically, just up ahead, I want to actually get this thing really flexy and see how well the limited slip system works. Now, one thing I want to mention about this 14.1-inch display is I'm running Onyx Off-Road for my off-road navigation, and on here, it's so nice to have it so big and crystal clear and very responsive. I use Onyx Off-Road consistently when I'm out here in the backcountry, and if you want to check it out, I will leave a link down below, but on this screen, it's perfect. All right, just up ahead, let's flex this thing out. All right, there's just a little climb here, and I think, put this in 4 low real quick, I think I can get a tire in the air here, and that'll give us an idea on how well this limited slip traction works. Now remember, we don't have a sway bar disconnect, we don't have a locker, so we're just relying on that Toyota. I think I have a tire in the air there. I can hear the traction control system kicking in, a little bit of slippage. Yeah, no problems. That was great. All right, one more climb with a little rut right here, and I am purposefully like trying to make it work. I'm not trying to take the easiest line. And let me mention, these 360-degree cameras are pretty nice. You can see right where the tires are. All right, there we go. Hanging down on the rut. Look at that. It just, you could feel the brakes kind of grabbing, the traction control kicking in. Made it easy work of that. We're not doing anything crazy, but it's fun just to kind of test that and know that, look, this is a capable little truck, even though we don't have lockers. All right, now yes, I'm having a little fun. I'm pushing it a little harder than I normally would, but Camberg and Magnaflow gave me permission to put this truck through its paces, and that's what I'm doing. And interestingly enough, this trail that I've been coming to for years is a little more washed out and rutted out than the last time I was up here. It's been a minute since I've done all the way to the top. You know, and having these larger tires, 33-inch tires, plus a 2.5-inch lift, so we've got about 3.5 inches taller than this truck would be stock. And having that extra ground clearance and tire size, just, you know, it makes for smaller holes and it makes it a little easier going over stuff. I'll say the suspension is nice. It's handling this very well. I didn't air down. That would definitely smooth things out a little bit, but I don't have an air compressor, so I didn't air down today. The responsiveness of this truck, though, is really amazing. I have the Land Cruiser, which has the hybrid, and boy, that thing has got all the power and torque. But surprisingly, this little 4-cylinder with this turbo on here, you step on the gas and it really moves right along. And it's a lot of fun on a trail like this where you just kind of want to get after it a little bit. I'm having a little bit more fun today than I expected. Now, one other thing to mention is that hood. I talked about that a little bit. There is that hood flutter, and I don't know, it's kind of annoying, really. As I'm looking out and watching the trail, I see the hood just kind of bouncing as I'm going along the trail. I don't know if there's a fix for that or whatnot, but that's a little bit disappointing. But otherwise, this truck's a whole lot of fun out here on the trail. That was a lot of fun. Let me say that this Toyota Tacoma TRD Sport has exceeded my expectations. Of course, with the Camberg and the MagnaFlow, Ivan Ironman Stewart components on here, makes this thing extremely worthy, especially having a little bit bigger tire and a nicer wheel. Coming out here, you can have an awesome adventure. So if you're looking for a mid-size truck that's going to be a great, comfortable daily driver, it's going to allow you to haul some stuff, tow some stuff, and then come out here and have an awesome time on the trail, well, this truck with these components, I think are a great combination. If you enjoyed checking out this truck review video, I'm going to leave a couple more links up here, guys, for some other vehicle review videos I think you'll enjoy. All right, make sure you check us out over TrailRecon.com. Until next time, safe travels.